The Anabasis of Alexander was composed by Arrian of Nicomedia in the 2nd century AD, most probably during the reign of Hadrian. The Anabasis is a history of the campaigns of Alexander the Great, specifically his conquest of the Persian Empire between 334 and 323 BC. Both the unusual title Anabasis and the work's 7-book structure reflect Arrian's emulation of the Greek historian Xenophon, whose own Anabasis in 7 books concerned the earlier campaign up-country of Cyrus the Younger in 401 BC. The Anabasis is by far the fullest surviving account of Alexander's conquest of the Persian Empire. It is primarily a military history, reflecting the content of Arrian's model, Xenophon's Anabasis. The work begins with Alexander's accession to the Macedonian throne in 336 BC, and has nothing to say about Alexander's early life, nor does Arrian aim to provide a complete history of the Greek-speaking world during Alexander's reign. Arrian's chief sources in writing the Anabasis were the lost contemporary histories of the campaign by Ptolemy and Aristobulus and his later books, Nearchus. One of Arrian's main aims in writing his history seems to have been to correct the standard Vulgate narrative of Alexander's reign that was current in his own day, primarily associated with the lost historian Cleotarchus. Content: the Anabasis gives a broadly chronological account of the reign of Alexander the Great of Macedon, with a particular focus on military matters. After a short preface concerning Arrian sources, Book 1 covers the early years of Alexander's reign, including notable descriptions of Alexander's sack of Thebes in 335 and the Battle of the Granicus in summer 334 BC. Book 2 is dominated by 3 large set-piece military operations, the campaign and Battle of Issus and the sieges of Tyre and Gaza. Book 3 begins with an account of Alexander in Egypt, including his visit to the oracle of Zeus Ammon at Silwa, before turning to the Battle of Gaugamela and defeat of Darius III. The latter half of the book describes Alexander's pursuit of Darius through northern Iran, the revolt of the pretender Bessus, and the deaths of Philotas and Parmenio. Book 4 describes the long Sogdian campaign of 329–327 BC against Bessus, Spitamenes, and Oxyates, and the early stages of the campaigns in the Punjab, with a notable departure from chronological sequence at 4.7–14, where Arrian collects many of the most notorious stories tending to Alexander's discredit in a single apologetic digression. Book 5 continues the narrative of the Indian campaign of 326 BC, including Alexander's arrival at Nysa, the battle with Porus at the Hydaspes River, and the decision at the Hyphasis not to push on further into India. Book 6 describes the journey down the Indus to the Indian Ocean, including the increasingly brutal violence inflicted on the local inhabitants by the Macedonians en route, and the crossing of the Gedrosian Desert. Book 7 recounts the events of Alexander's final year, including the Susa marriages, the Opus Mutiny, the death of Hephaestion, and Alexander's own death. Criticism: Arrian's Anabasis has traditionally been regarded as the most reliable extant narrative source for Alexander's campaigns. Since the 1970s, a more critical view of Arrian has become widespread, thanks largely to the work of A.B. Bosworth, who has drawn scholars' attention to Arrian's tendency to hagiography and apologia, not to mention several passages where Arrian can be shown to be downright misleading. Modern editions. The only complete English translation of Arrian available online is a rather antiquated translation by E. J. Chinnock published in 1884. The original Greek text used by the Perseus Digital Library is the standard A.G. Rust Joibner edition published at Leipzig in 1907. An English translation by Aubrey de Salincourt appeared in Penguin Classics in 1958. Probably the most widely used English translation is that of P.A. Brunt in the Loeb Classical Library series, in 2 volumes. A new translation by Martin Hammond appeared in the Oxford World's Classics series in 2013.